Rows of metal shelves held the objects the museum used to round out displays, like the prop room of a movie studio. Like a studio, the museum portrayed slices of life throughout time. A dozen 6-foot-tall shelving units formed aisles, and the shelves were packed full of items. Louisa walked to the last aisle. A tag on the shelving affixed to the wall read, "Celtic Warrior Exhibit." She scanned the labels on the containers and pulled down the correct box.
"The dagger came in a few weeks ago. Here it is."
She lifted the lid. The box was empty. Her knees weakened, and she nearly dropped the container.
"It's gone."
Surely the weapon was simply misplaced. But where was it? The new Celtic Warrior exhibition was scheduled to open in 3 weeks. She replaced the empty box. Picking up a clipboard, she flipped pages of the computer printout. Her finger stopped on the line for the dagger replica.
"It's on the log sheet. It should be here."
"How many copies of this dagger were made?" Jackson asked.
"We had one made."
Louisa wrapped her arms around her waist. Ianelli scratched his forehead.
"Could there be others?"
"I don't think so, but it's possible," Cusack answered in a grim voice. "I'll get you the name and number of the maker." "Is this replica sharp enough to kill someone?" Jackson asked.
"No."
Louisa pulled out the sword replica that arrived that morning. She handed it to Jackson.
"The edge was dull like this one, but it could be sharpened like any other blade."
Jackson ran a finger along the edge. "Is it valuable?" Cusack shook his head.
"Not particularly. We had to pay a design fee, but the actual value is nominal. You can buy museum replicas online for under $100.
Jackson pulled a notepad and pen from his jacket pocket. "Who has access to this room?" Blood rushed into Louisa's ears. External sounds dimmed. Eyes riveted on the empty box. She vaguely heard Cusack answering the detective.
"The items stored up here aren't of high value. Security on the 3rd floor is minimal. Most of the staff has access. We have a senior curator, 3 assistant curators, museum security, 2 curatorial administrative assistants, 1 intern."
His voice trailed off as he listed the people who had access to the weapon. The detective scanned the ceiling. "Are there security cameras in here?"
"No,"
Cusack said.
"There's a camera in the elevator."
It appeared someone was killed with an item stolen from her museum. An image of Ricky's missing flyer popped into Louisa's mind. Louisa had seen the pretty brunette in the corridors. The girl had always smiled in passing. Sadness filled her at the loss of a young, promising life.
"Who is the victim?"
Louisa asked quietly. The men stopped talking and turned toward her. Jackson's face tightened. "We can't say at this time."
"But do you know who it is?"
Louisa gave Jackson a direct stare. His lips flattened, and he crossed his arms over his chest. "We have a suspicion of who she is, but we're waiting for confirmation to make an official ID."
"The victim is female?"
Louisa's mind traveled back to the photos, then to her memories of Ricky. "Yes." Detective Jackson frowned. "All I can tell you is that the victim is a Caucasian female, probably in her early 20s. A homeless man found her in the basement of an abandoned building a few hours ago. We were lucky to get a jump on the press, but the stories are breaking now." In the weeks since Ricky disappeared, 7 bodies had been discovered in the Philadelphia area. After the first 3, museum employees had stopped speculating each one could be Ricky.
"Do you suspect the victim is our intern?"
Louisa pressed. But Jackson's eyes gave nothing away but irritation. "Do you have photos of the dagger replica?" he asked, ignoring her question and leaving her to assume.